Oh, that's good. I'm on top of the world. Imagine dragons. Conde Nast Traveler is celebrating its global anniversary, including 35 years right here in the U.S. To mark the occasion, the magazine's taking a closer look at how travel is evolving with special editions on the future of travel. They're exploring space tourism, for one. I was trying to think what that cover is. Jesse, help me understand what that cover is we just looked at. The development of floating cities and the rise of so-called eco-hotels. Only on CBS Mornings, Conde Nast Traveler's Deputy Global Editorial Director, that's Jesse Ashlock, joins us here in the studio. Welcome. Did you see the first cover?
What
was that?
The cover is an art project by a British artist named Vincent Fournier. We felt it really embodied the spirit of the future of travel and what we want to talk about in this issue. And of course, space is part of the future of travel. And I believe more than I did when we embarked on this project that space tourism is going to become something more and more people will do.
Space tourism, you say, is closer than we think. What is it exactly?
Well, you may have heard about Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos going suborbital during the pandemic.
And they've taken some people up.
And they've taken some people up, I think, William Shatner's gone up. And it's obviously something that's only available right now to the 1% of the 1%. A trip to space will run you well into six figures. But if you think about it, that was true of air travel a century ago. That was true of cruise travel a century before that. And
but it doesn't last long.
Yeah, what are you going to
think? Go up and then they come back down.
Well, I'll tell you, astronauts rhapsodize about what's called the overview effect. When you're up there and you see the shiny blue marble and you think about the fragility of life on Earth, and you come back a changed person with a new mission to make life on Earth better. So that's the utopian vision.
But do you see it being affordable? Because right now it's crazy, crazy expensive.
I think that prices will come down as more spaceships get built, more motherships get built. I think that it will likely remain in the luxury sphere, but it will become more accessible to more people. And I think that there will also be other ways of having the space experience. In this issue, we covered a French company called Orbite that does a kind of space experience on Earth. They have a space camp, basically, and they're building a campus in the US that will open in 2024. And you can go suborbital, you can do research, you can have an experience that's very similar to what you would do on Blue Origin or on Virgin Galactic. And then afterwards, you can go back to your luxury hotel and have some champagne and caviar. So, that's a way of doing it without blasting off if that's not your bag.
Yeah, and without it being too daring, because it is quite an adventuresome thing. Okay, I want to talk about floating cities, though. What is a floating city? What's driving the idea behind a floating city?
So if you think about it, floating cities have been around for centuries, even millennia. I mean, indigenous populations from Peru to Cambodia live on them. And we've been planning cities for...
Those are pretty.
Yeah, that's Busan, South Korea. That's a proposal there that big an architecture firm from Denmark is working on. And so floating cities now, I think they combine a desire for a sort of planned utopia with a need for climate resilience. And in a port city like Busan, South Korea, or they're building one in Saudi Arabia called Neom that's going to extend into the Red Sea. And it also speaks to logistics.
How soon could we go to something like that?
Within the decade in Saudi Arabia,
Eco-hotels?
Eco-hotels are a really, really rapidly growing segment of the hotel market. And the reason why is that travelers are demanding them more and more. I think during the sustainability was important to the traveler before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened and we saw those pictures of the clear skies and the clean waters, and we recognized, the impact that we were having with our travel. But we need to travel, and we also recognize the impact that not traveling had on economies all over the world that are super dependent on tourism. And we need to go out there and see people and learn about the world. I mean, it promotes tolerance and understanding.
It's true, but for people who want to go somewhere by going nowhere, there's also virtual reality.
That is true.
Another part of the issue.
So virtual reality and now the metaverse, I think of it this way. So it fulfills this sort of perennial traveler dream of going somewhere in an instant, right? Without having to get on a plane. But you also you can have interactions in the metaverse, that's part of the point, but you can't really interact with flesh and blood people and have these kinds of authentic, meaningful, on-the-ground experiences. So I think of it as kind of a try before you buy.
All right. Thank you, Jesse Ashlock. We appreciate it.
Try before you buy.
Always great to be here.
Stick with us, though. We'll be right back. You've already tried it.
Try before